Hey everyone, and of course, as I get started, Cooper and Ozzy are playing on the couch. Oh, happy Veterans Day to all of my veterans out there. I love you all. You deserve so much honor and mad respect. My husband is a veteran. He is my favorite veteran. Guys, hey, can y'all chill? Go down there and play. And they look at me like, what? It has been a day, guys. Anyways, happy Veterans Day. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, make sure to subscribe, hit that little bell, and give me a thumbs up. Share with your friends. Invite them to like my channel. My first goal, it's a baby channel. My first goal is 500, guys. I'm going to start there because I'm getting a community tab. Let's just face it. And then the next one is 1,000, and then we can monetize. Maybe true crime tends to not get monetized as easy if you're not careful. There's a lot of stuff to watch for and not say and not do, and so I'm going to apologize. This was supposed to be last night. We had an internet issue, like kids were racing or something, and they hit the internet main thingy down the road that took out the internet for the whole neighborhood. So we didn't have internet till like 7:30 last night. So I could have come live then and just winged it, but I was busy getting everything together, and there's so much that's added to this case since I originally did this case, and I believe it was January 2020. So I wanted to get all my homework done, and then I was trying to get that done today, and I had a doctor's appointment, and then I had an interview with Charlotte, and if you missed that, we had a great interview talking about Facebook drama with Katie Joy of Without a Crystal Ball. Hate even saying the name because that just brings them out. So can y'all hear me okay? Are y'all in there? Is it good? Or am I talking away and even asking if y'all can hear me? This chat just running really slow. So funny. So I see Angela. Hey, Froggy. Hey, Angela. They'll get here. This new hearing aid, y'all, that I have. I am the Bluetooth on my phone goes through the hearing aid. So all I hear in this ear when my phone is playing is the phone. It's kind of weird. Gonna have to get used to that. Kind of cool, but he told me I could turn the Bluetooth off. If I get to talking too fast, I apologize. I'm drinking coffee again. I'm not even gonna tell you how many cups of coffee I've had today. I put this one in a big cup because I needs it. I needs it. Is that okay? It's not bouncing. I bought a new camera stand. So Jagger can't knock the camera off no more because I bought a stand for it. It's not just on the computer. So, okay, I hope that's working. Okay. I'm a little bit scatterbrained, so this coffee probably is not a good idea. It probably isn't helping. I gotta get this mess up off my neck. Look like a peacock. Hi, Gigi. So, the Vallow case. I covered this case back in January before they found the children on my podcast. And I'm going to redo the podcast because it's pretty raw. It's pretty new at doing podcast. And that might have been December. Hell, I don't remember when it was now. 2019. So there's been so much more happen. And then there's been a few new updates and new things court-wise with them. And so I thought it would be good to come in and do a deep on it, or as deep as we can get until court is over. And as I'm pulling stuff up, discovered that this might be more than a one live. Because the interviews that I'm wanting to show are forever long, and we don't want to be here till midnight. I got too much other stuff I got to do when I get off. So we'll see. We'll see where we're at. See what we do with. So, anyways, on the Vallow case, let's do a refresher for those that don't know about Vallow. Lori Vallow grew up in California. She is, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She is fourth of 5 kids. There's older sister Stacy. Then there was Alex, Alex is a big key player in all this. Adam, then Lori, and then their younger sister Summer. She was a cheerleader, extremely outgoing, well liked, very pretty, very charismatic. Loved to be the center of attention, and I think we've seen that watching her and everything she does. She's always very concerned about her appearance, looking in mirrors, primping and promping. And I mean, I can't fault her for that. I'm bad about that myself. So she has 5 marriages. 5. Well, I mean, that includes Chad, the new one. So her first marriage was to a Nelson Yanes right out of high school. They were high school sweethearts. They ran off, got married, and she got it annulled within like 6 weeks. It was pretty quickly. Then there was husband number 2, which is, and that's, I was glad I finally found that name, because before they never would give the name. They just knew she was married, but didn't really have any information on it. The second husband is Will LaGoya, and that is her son Colby's father. So right after Kobe is born, she leaves him. Then she marries Joseph Ryan, which is Tylee's father. Now, I think it was Tylee was 3, I think, when they divorced, and she was a beautician, and then she meets Charles Vallow, and then they get married. Charles has 2 children from his first wife, and of course Lori had her 2, so they had 4 kids. He had 2 boys, she had a boy and a girl, and then Charles's sister Kay and Larry Woodcock, they ended up adopting their grandson, who her son just couldn't take care of him. I'm guessing they've never said, and I've never really dug. He was just not able. I mean, I don't know if it was drugs or just not able. And so they brought JJ home very early, right out of the hospital, I believe, and quickly learned that he was more than they could handle. He was a handful. They discovered quickly that he had autism, and they are older. They, late 60s at this time. So they were really concerned with being able to keep up with him. And in 2014, Charles and Lori come to them and say, hey, why don't we adopt him? And so they adopt him. And Kay, and I love what Kay said. It was very touching. She said it was the hardest, easiest thing they ever did. They knew it was the best thing for JJ. They knew that at Pizza Hut, I now have the Pizza Hut comes to my mind like Applebee's, and I have the song in my head. Don't ask me why, but it does. They knew that he needed younger parents to keep up with him and to help him function and grow and do what he needed to do. And from all accounts, everybody says that it was an amazing family. Charles's 2 boys took JJ in. Tylee and Ryan had JJ, and Tylee became very mommy-like to JJ. She became very attached. And JJ with her, if she got out of his sight, he was looking for Ty. He did not like to not have her around. And so things rocked along really good for a few years, just a great family. They were well off. He was I think it's a financial center or another. And good money. They move off to Hawaii. Times I would like to live in Hawaii. But I don't know. You're kind of really surrounded by water and not much you can do about it. But, could you imagine me moving all these animals to Hawaii, guys? Jeez. I don't think about it. I'm moving up to Indiana, and that's enough. We did get some kind of good news on the house. Y'all just keep me in your prayers that I look at the finances really hard and make sure I can swing it. Housing out there to get in a nice area is extremely expensive. Where we're going is not the safest, so you've got to be in a really good area. And now that we have numbers on the house that we were looking at staying in, I'm nervous. That's why I'm drinking coffee, guys. Oh, I said that already. I made me a Snickers latte. I should have put some Bailey's in it, but I was out after that phone call because my husband was like, so got some news. I'm like, last time you did this, I had to cancel the live. Is this good or bad? Should we finish this after the live? So it's not bad, but it wasn't what I wanted. It's just going to be tight. A lot of money. So Lori was also a part of the LDS Church, Church of the Latter-day Saints. And I don't know a lot about this, so I want to be really careful. I don't want to misinform anything. So if anybody knows if I quote anything wrong in any of the religion, just please leave a comment. I'd rather be informed than misinformed. But I think it's it's an offshoot of the Mormon Church. What I do know about them is a lot of the true crime cases I look into come out of that. There is Lacey and Scott. Not Lacey. Sorry, wrong one. Why am I forgetting the name? I am totally having a brain fart right now. What happened in Washington? They never found her body, and he blew him and the kids up. Please, somebody give me a name. Total brain fart. I'm just saying. Because I've actually talked about the case, and I'm just totally not knowing what case that is. It'll come to me in a second. But they were LDS. Well, Mormon. One or the other. And there's a lot of strict religions. Like there's certain holy clothing you wear when you go to church and all of this. And they... quick. Lori's brother, Adam, was saying that the church encourages you to go to the service like once a month. And she was going 5 days a week for 4 to 5 hours, that she had become that obsessed with church and everything. I feel like my chat is really lagging. I feel like it's really lagging because I'm not seeing nothing. Is StreamYard being stupid again? The Powell case. I had to look it up real quick because I'm like, this name's going to drive me crazy. Josh and Susan Powell. There was the same kind of religion, and so there's a lot of you can't do this, and you're afraid if you go do that, it breaks religion codes, and I'm just going to say, and this is a personal opinion, if you're living in a religion that dictates absolutely everything you do, and there's no leeway, and you're terrified of every little thing sending you to hell, might want to step out and reevaluate. Everybody's walk with their believer is theirs, but I am here to tell you extreme religions are dangerous, and I've seen it. I've lived it. Angela, I'll talk about it because it's another case that I watched unfold, and it was like, and I've done some on it on the other channel. Oh my God, that coffee's good. And so when she kind of started going in and just, I mean, that's a lot. 5 days, 4 to 5 hours a day. You're looking at 20 hours of your week at church. Hi, TCA. Welcome. Thanks for coming, honey. TCA will be here next Wednesday. We're going to talk about a case that's very near and dear to her. So y'all make sure to come back. And it's an unsolved case. It's a cold case. And I've got a couple cold cases I'm going to be talking about. And she's got hers. And then I'm also going to be going into some wrongful conviction cases. I'm looking into one, and then somebody messaged me out of that group and gave me some more information on theirs. And since I have a few of them already, I do believe we're going to start devoting some time to wrongful convictions. So they go off to Hawaii. They've got they start a company, like a juice company. Hi, Marie. Welcome to the channel. I love wrongful conviction cases. There's an urgency to them that to me is like you can't get enough out there, and all of them need to be talked about. So I do think I want to start devoting some time to that. The rabbit hole you get on wrongful convictions is never ending. The Rodney Reed case, it's actually a very dear case to me. I'm not too far from Bastrop, so it's fairly local. I mean, in Texas, everything is forever away. I believe in Rodney's innocence. I believe that Rodney did not have a fair trial. He did not have a trial of his peers. It was a fully white jury, middle to older white jury. It was not a fair trial in any means, and I believe he needs a new trial with all of the evidence. There were things that were never looked at on that case, and I will tell you, Bastrop is still to this day fairly racial. Back then, in that time frame, white women didn't date black men, and it was a big no-no, and people were very ugly about it. And that's why people didn't talk. So I know I'm very heartbroken about the news. I am still praying. Our last shot is the appeals court. I am still praying. And Rodney's spirits stay very, very up. And dang it, I knew I forgot something. They were doing a recording, I think Monday, and where you could leave a message for Rodney, and then they play it at the prison. It's like a radio station for the prison itself, and then they play it, and he was wanting to hear everybody, and I had meant to go on, and I didn't get to. I've had a rough week, guys. I had an eye injury, so I was out. But he stays very upbeat, and his mother, that is the most precious woman ever, I think, that I've ever seen. They never get ugly. They're never rude. They're always very sweet and kind and loving, and that is nice to see in that kind of situation. I don't know that I could be that. I think they would be throwing this mama in jail. So I hope, and I will cover the Rodney case some more. I thought about going on scene and doing some videos to like where they found Stacy's body. And I feel for Stacy's family. My heart breaks for them. But I think they're blinded by a lot on that case. See, y'all, I can go off on a tangent and totally lose my train of thought. The train wreck that is me. Okay, fall of 2018 is when they were in Hawaii. They came back to Phoenix. And the fall of 2018, things started to kind of unravel, and they became, Charles was saying things were just different. She was changing and things were off, and he didn't know what was going on, and all of these things were happening. He goes on a business trip, and he comes back, his truck's gone. It's not at the airport. He can't find his truck. And he gets to the house is locked up. He can't get in the house. She's moved out of the house. You know where she's at. He's called the police. Can you help me get in my house? My wife is losing her mind. He gets them to do a mental welfare on her, which is pretty much on those. They pull them in and they give you, they said 24 to 48 hours. In Texas, it's 72 hours. So they do this, they take you in and they medically talk to you and make sure you're sane and not going to hurt yourself or others. There were a lot of things that she said that I don't know how they didn't see this as not okay. And she's out in a few hours. Never in my life. Well, I take that back. Side story. My mother was going through some things back. I was 4th grade, 5th grade. I think it was 5th. And she put her foot in business that wasn't hers to be putting her foot into and could have cost her life. And she was getting so erratic. At that time, my mother was fighting her alcoholism. It was just a very bad time. My brother was very concerned, my oldest brother. He had her committed. And so they picked me up at school, and I'm like, well, where's mom? You know, why are y'all picking me up at school? And usually I rode the bus, and they're like, your brother's here to pick you up. And so I'm like, okay. And I take it back. I know why they were picking me up. Mom had left my dad, and so she was picking me up. That's why, because it didn't make sense to not ride the bus. And he's telling me, mom's at the hospital. She's being checked. We're worried about her, blah, blah, blah. We get home and mom's there and she's pissed. She is like a wet cat. I mean, she is mad. And my brothers to this day are like, we don't know how she beat us. I mean, they literally had just picked her up and she was home within 45 minutes. And that's how far we were from the hospital they put her in. So they were like, I don't know what happened. TCA, there's some stuff that I was reading I had not read yet, and it was been out for a little bit. We'll see if I make it through without crying. So these mental holds, they're set up to help people, but they fail. I mean, they truly do fail. I don't know what the criteria is because I've never actually done one. Been close, but never have. So, I mean, he was really concerned. She was talking about, let's see, I wrote them down. What gets me on this is when they pull her in to talk to her about this whole thing and his mental health concern, she has Tylee in there with her. Well, why is a child in this room while you're discussing this with this woman? I do not, for the life of me, understand. And Tylee says in this that there was a lot of there were times, not 3 or 4 times over the last couple of years, that there was very loud arguments and fights, and it was very concerning. So, like any relationship, there's going to be some ups and downs, and adults bicker. We bicker. To a kid, those bickering arguments could be extreme. Depends on the level. And we didn't live in that house, so we don't know what they were. I mean, could he have been irate? I imagine, as laid back as my husband is, if I got extreme religion and started acting this way, you bet. Take $35,000 out of the business account, you bet that man's losing his mind. And it would probably make my children concerned. So I don't doubt that there was some arguing and huge fights that could be very traumatizing to a child. I wrote down what he said in court. So he filed, this was in the fall of 2018. In February 2019, he files for divorce. Now, he filed for divorce after he found an email about her and Chad having an affair. And he contacted Tammy and let her know. Well, I'll take that back. I think it was after he filed for divorce that he found that out. But we think that's why he was killed. So his stuff to the court was she was becoming increasingly fixated on end times. She threatened his life, claiming that she was assigned to carry out the work of the 144,000, which is a weird LDS. And now the LDS has denounced that from what I was reading. So it's one of those other part of the extreme religion where 144,000 come into play. And then in July of 2020, that was going to happen. And then if he got in the way, she would murder him. Well, on the business trip, she referred to him as a Nick Snyder, and that Nick Snyder had taken over his body and he was no longer Charles. And she warned him that she would kill him upon his return, and that she had an angel that would dispose of his body. It's kind of telling. They worked out a custody sharing with JJ. Charles changed his beneficiary from her to Kay because he was concerned and wanted to make sure Kay could take care of JJ. So if you go back to Joseph Ryan, when she was married to him, Alex attacked him, her brother Alex, with a taser. He ended up going to jail, served some jail time for assault. And when he got out, tells his ex-wife, and I have that video, I may play that here in just a second, tells the ex-wife that he claims that Joseph was molesting the children. And that's never been proven. It's never been said. When she asked questions, he didn't really deny, but wouldn't answer. And so she doesn't believe it was true, but he said that if he got in the way again, he would kill him. And so he's already attacked him once. Now, when Ryan dies, somehow or another, and I don't remember what year he died, and I didn't write it down. It was just a few years back. It was like 2016, something like that. And so she has him cremated. Doesn't tell his sister until days later. So I don't even know why she still had control of this man and what was going on. That makes no sense to me. But he was supposed to have died from a heart attack. Of course, I can't examine his body because he's been cremated. This woman is like a true Black Widow. I mean, everybody around her dies. It's crazy. Let's play this video. Let me find this real quick. Yeah, and this is going to be it. It's a phone conversation that Alex's ex-wife has with the Chandler Police Department about him. And I'm only going to play a little bit of it. There's like 30 minutes of it, and I have a small clip. I'll probably do some more of it on the second video because I need to finish watching it. Share this. Okay, I'm going to mute because I don't want it to be stupid because you'll know how that goes. Let's see. Let's do this.
Of the sexual abuse, but really Alex couldn't provide any. Well, I didn't feel, because I was like, well, are you sure? How do you know? Did you take the kids to a doctor? I was asking a lot of questions, and he just couldn't be straight with the answers. But those were his reasons that he stated to me that he had tased Joe.
Okay, and did he say that he had tried to kill Joe that time, or was it something different?
He didn't say he was trying to kill him. He just wanted to hurt him.
Okay.
But he did tell me he wanted to kill him, but I took it more of, I want to kill that guy, just kind of conversational. I didn't think he would actually go do something like that.
Okay.
I was even shocked that he tased him. But I didn't even know about the tasing. I heard about it from Alex.
What do you mean you didn't know about the tasing?
Oh, I'm sorry. Alex had kind of fallen off the radar.
Mm-hmm.
We hadn't talked for about a year. And so I just thought he kind of fell off the radar. And then we talked, and he told me where he'd been the last year and what he had done.
Okay. When did you guys get married?
We got married in 92.
So then you got divorced in 93?
Yeah. Yeah. that, I don't know that this helps anything with the investigation, but as soon as I married him, I didn't know his family before we got married. We dated, whirlwind romance, got married, then I got to know the family. And there were so many crazy dynamics in that family and I've gone back since all of this came out and read my journals from that period of time. And there was just a lot of crazy dynamics in that family back then. And it caused a lot of issues right away. And it actually made me scared and nervous.
How so?
And we thought about, because there was a lot of inappropriate sexual touching and things going on in the family, particularly between him and his sister.
So between Alex and Lori?
And Lori.
Okay. You kind of got me at a loss on this one. What do you consider inappropriate sexual touching?
Like they were simulating sex acts, and which is not normal to me for a brother and a sister. For example, he would pick her up and she'd wrap her legs around his waist, and he would kind of bounce her up and down on himself.
Okay.
In front of me, and they would moan and simulate sex acts. And I have brothers, and I would never act like that with one of my brothers.
Okay.
And his mom and dad talked about their sex life in front of us constantly, and it just kind of seemed to be a game for them.
Oh,
to
the
talk
mom and
about
dad didn't really object to it then, huh?
No, not at all. All of this was going on in the family, in front of everybody. They had no shame.
Wow. There's a whole bunch more of that, and I'm going to go through it and listen to the rest of it later. What do y'all make of that? Oh, excuse me. What do y'all make of that? Froggy, I don't know, but now I'm wondering. I mean, I'm wondering if the rest of this interview, if she'll talk about more of what she considered the parents talking on their sex life being inappropriate. Because, I mean, are they talking about having wild sex, or are they giving details? I mean, there's a fine line. I'm pretty open with my children and always have been, but I've never really shared details of my sex life. But that really does kind of sound like she could be an abuse survivor. And maybe not even realize was abused. I mean, it could be one of those things that was just the normal way of life and she doesn't see it that way. But it sounds like her and Alex's relationship was more than brother and sister, which would explain why he was always around. I mean, he was pretty glued. Pretty dang glued. Very odd. That's very odd. I mean, I can hear that cop going, wait, what? Whoa. I mean, that was light bulbs going off for him for sure on what they have going on. While we were doing that, one of my cold cases, my Hopper Road case, messaged me. They've got some new info. That's coming in December for another update, and y'all, it's going to be good. So, brother Alex is very attached to his sister. And appropriately attached to his sister. So we fast forward, and we've got, they're separated, living their own lives. going towards their divorce. She's in a really nice home in Arizona. And, oh, I meant to pull that up. And Charles shows up to pick up JJ for school. Trying to think of what I'm pulling this up because I want to play this because this is very important. He shows up to, it's not going to be on that one, to pick up JJ to go to school. Tylee says that she hears them arguing. So she jumps up out of her bed, grabs a bat by her bed to go and confront the situation. She gets in the middle of him and her fighting. He tries to grab the bat from her, and somebody pulls her or pulls him out of the way. They leave. Now, in her video, in her interrogation, or not interrogation, interview, she says that when she goes outside, she hears a gunshot or hears a really loud noise right about the time Lori walks out of the house. They go to a drive-thru and get some food. They're taking JJ to school, whatever they're doing. 42 minutes later, Alex calls 911. And I totally just closed that out and didn't want to. Hi, Charlotte. Welcome. Thank you for coming. So he waits 42 minutes before he calls 911. On the 911, they're like, is he breathing? Well, I don't know. Can you go check? Yeah. A little bit later, he's like, no, he's not breathing. He's not moving. Can you do CPR? I don't know how to do that. I can walk you through it. Okay. So, and he's like, when the cops get there, he's like, he hit me on the head and hit me with the bat, and I shot him. Twice. And he's like, I'm thinking Charles Vallow was a big dude, guys. He was a pretty good sized man. If he swung that bat, it would have been more than that little, it's like a 2-inch cut on the back of his head, little bitty knot. I didn't even really ever see blood. He kept pulling that napkin away. There's no blood on that. What they have released is there were 2 gunshots. One happened when he was standing and the other when he was on the ground. And that's why they have said he was murdered by Alex. He was already laying on the ground when he shot him. At that point, that's not self-defense. Y'all have never drank all that coffee. But hold on, I'm going to find this. I thought I had it pulled up, but I didn't. All right, let's see. I believe this is it.
So we've got some breaking news, by the way.
Hold on. Let's go here. Do that. Oh, no, don't do that. Y'all, one of these days I'll get it together. Okay, so this is the body cam footage the day of this attack. So check this out. I believe this is it. Oh, well, let me mute myself before I start play so that it doesn't go crazy. Okay.
One officer goes into the house. The other asks Alex what happened.
What happened today? How did it get to this?
I don't know. He was enraged.
What's going on? What happened?
He was talking with my sister earlier.
No, what happened today, though? Like, just in the last 20 minutes.
He came at me with a bat.
At first, Alex doesn't seem to have a clear response as to what happened.
What was he accusing you of?
He was just yelling at me. I just went back to the living room. Like, what is your problem?
With the gun in your
Yes. And I said, I want you to put that bat down. He wouldn't do it. And he's like, dude. And he came at me with the bat again after he'd already hit me in the head. So I shot him to stop him.
Okay, then what happened?
That was it.
The officer in the house encounters the body of Charles Vallow in the front room, lying on the floor. Next to the body is the baseball bat that Alex claims Charles used to hit him. After checking his pulse, the officer clears the house as the fire department arrives to pronounce him dead.
This guy's last name is Vallow, V-A-L-L-O.
Meanwhile, outside, Lori and Tylee arrive.
Does your husband live here or no?
No, he lives in Houston.
Gotcha.
We just moved in here a few weeks ago.
Gotcha. How long have you guys lived here?
I'm sorry,
How long have you lived here?
like 3 weeks.
Oh, geez. Yeah, okay.
That's why the neighbors don't know us.
Gotcha.
Like, hi neighbor, sorry.
Are you working at all?
No.
Okay. And you're still about 5'6", 120?
The officer then gets some personal information from Tylee.
Blonde, too. You guys, I'm going to list you as a blonde young lady here. And then blue eyes? You have very blue eyes. That's not under debate.
The officer finally goes to debrief detectives that have just arrived on scene.
Wife, husband got into a verbal argument. Brother steps in and says, just get at some point, the niece grabs the bat and is poking her dad. Dad takes the bat away. They decide to leave. Everyone leaves. There's a son, too, a younger son. Her son, he's not here either. So, wife who lives here, her daughter.
So what do y'all make of that body language? Body language is very telling. What do you make of, let's start with her body language. She's very flippant. Woohoo, sorry neighbors, hi neighbors. Even if you hate somebody and they are murdered inside your home, whether you're fighting or not, there should be more of an emotional response there than a whole hey that she did. Not to mention, she had a pool party later that evening. So, Angela, it's very off. It is. When I first saw that, when this case first started coming out, before, I mean, this was breaking. I was following this. When this hit the news, it was in my feed and I was following. And so I had started reading up on things. And so her behavior is very off. Now, if you look at Tylee and her behavior, she has her arms crossed. This is a very anxious move. It's a very protective mood. It is a trying to protect yourself. It is when you're not really wanting to answer things. It's kind of it's also something people do to protect themselves when they are uncomfortable. Make themselves feel safe. So her body language to me is very much of I don't know what to do here. I'm really scared. Did she think that he was going to hurt her mom? It's possible. I don't doubt that at all. I imagine it was very heated. I believe what was said was he had left the home with JJ, realized he left his phone inside, went back in to get his phone, and she was going through his phone. And he tried to take the phone from her, and they got to arguing. So, I mean, it could have been very scary. For a kid, it's going to be very scary. It's going to be very scary. I have no doubt. So, oh, yeah, Charlotte, I do. I do make them. This is one of my current ones I just did. I love snow tigers. Snow leopards and white tigers. They tend to be my favorite. I've got... My husband says I have too many cups. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So now we have Charles Vallow murdered in a very suspicious situation going on. Alex, we have just heard the ex-wife of Alex talking about him coming to her defense. We heard about their weird attachment. So it makes you wonder. It just puts the pieces together more for a bigger picture of what's going on here. So you rock along. A couple weeks later, a couple months later, Tammy Daybell's killed. Well, she dies. And Chad has spoken and said that he had dreamed his wife was going to die in an accident on this trip. Well, she didn't die. But she did have somebody shoot at her with a paintball gun. I believe it was a paintball gun. I know the cousin had somebody shoot with him with something too. Y'all, I'm having a hard time with my train of thought tonight. I'm so sorry. I'm not usually like this. It's been a day. Anyways, and Froggy's been a big customer of mine on my cups. But Tammy dies in her sleep. At first, they ruled it natural causes. Now, in December of 2019, they did exhume her body to do an autopsy. That autopsy has been sealed, and it will be, but they've been charged with murder, or he has. And so now you have a dead husband, a dead wife. 2 weeks after she dies, they get married. They get married, and they don't tell anybody, but they get married. Oh, here was the other thing that gets me on when Charles dies. She texts his children, his two boys. She texts them. Understand that. She went, deet. Not, hey, I have bad news about your dad. It was a whole, 36 hours later, your dad's dead. That's it. That's all they knew. She's heartless. She's heartless. So now I have two spouses dead. These two have gotten married. They have told people they were destined to be together. They were together in past lives. And she had made this portal in her closet that she could go into so her and Chad could communicate, because he was a higher being. They were both higher beings. That's some weird shit, y'all. That's weird. She, people were beginning to get very uncomfortable with them, and some of the behavior that was going on. Now, in September, I wrote them down. What did I do with them? The kids, in September, late September, the kids just kind of disappeared. Nobody had seen them. Nobody knew where they were at. The Woodcocks were trying to get wellness checks done on. Hi, Amanda. Welcome to the channel. And this caught me. They do a wellness check. They show up at her apartment in Rexburg. She's now moved the kids to Rexburg, which is where Chad was living. Oh my God, these pop-ups, y'all. Yes, that's how she could contact him, was going into the portal. That's how they did all their contact. So weird. The whole thing is strange. All of that is strange. People turning into zombies. When they turn into zombies, they're no longer savable, and they're dead, and they must be killed, and da-da-da-da-da-da. So the Woodcocks call for a wellness check because they can't get a hold of JJ. They have not talked to him. She is not answering anything anymore. She's already thrown a fit because she no longer has control of the life insurance policy. And she is mad because they have 5 kids together to raise. She didn't have 5 kids. She had 3. You didn't want JJ. Give him to the grandparents. That's all I had to say. She didn't do that, of course. Now we know what she did with them. But she, I get so irritated, y'all. Totally lost my train of thought on that one again. I'm really bad about that, so y'all bear with me. Little rabbit trails. Oh, they do the wellness check. So the cops show up to the house in Rexburg, little townhome kind of thing, and Alex and Chad are there. Chad pretends he's like, oh, I barely know her. I don't know her that well. They're freaking married. They're married. And Alex is like, oh, JJ's with his grandmother. And they're like, the grandmother's who called the wellness check. He's like, oh. So when she talks to the cops, and she's like, no, he's with my friend in Arizona. And then she's like, Tylee's at college. Well, they never checked to see if Tylee was in college. Not at this time. So they never, well, she had called the friend and told her, if the cops call you, you have JJ. And she's like, why would I say I have JJ? You took him to the movies. Well, why would I say I have JJ? Isn't he with his grandmother? And so she thought that was very strange. And she was like, I'm not lying to the cops. But she tells the cops, she's like, they're like, well, I'm sorry for bothering you. She's like, well, I'm just really sorry that people keep bothering me. I just trying to find me, and I don't want to be found. She didn't want to be found. That's my thing, Charlotte. I don't know how they thought they were going to get away with it. They weren't covering very good, for one thing, and it just didn't make sense. But on September 8th, they did discover, on September 8th, they went to, is it Grand Canyon, Yosemite, something. They went to one of the big parks, and there's a picture of Tylee and JJ and Alex and Lori. That was the last time that Tylee was seen alive. On September 9th, Alex's phone is pinged at the Daybell property. He was there for 2.5 hours. They now say that is when Tylee was killed. Tylee wasn't, they can't really determine how she was killed because her body was dismembered and burned. So there was just no way whatsoever to tell. There was no obvious like bullet wound or anything like that they would be able to pick up information from. Well, but we don't think that was the bodies. They have now said that storage container part with the tote when he's walking out, that it was a car seat piece. They've been able to prove that wasn't a body, it was a car seat piece. He took Tylee from the home to the Daybell property. Charlotte, I believe that she, religious programming, I think that she is so far gone into that extreme religion that she has lost complete touch with reality. That is why she's still in the mental institution, and they're still saying she's not ready for trial because she doesn't see that they did anything wrong. Her children were zombies, and it's just what you do. So she's either really, really good at playing crazy or she really is mentally insane. And so that's going to be one of those things where, how do they go about with this? I mean, they're going to have to wait. They can't go to trial till they finish evaluating her. But what they do know now is that they took Tylee there, and she was killed and dismembered and burned and buried in the pet cemetery. So let me pull it up because I have it on paper. She kept JJ for a while. Now, JJ had a service dog. These service dogs run anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000, could be more. When you get one that's fully trained, there is a lot that goes into that. They're very expensive. His was it was special for him only, and so when you have one like that, they become very, very bonded. And all of a sudden, this dog is being given away, and they're like, why are you giving it back? And she's like, well, JJ doesn't need it anymore. And he's like, are you sure? This is hard on the dogs to just take them from their partner. And so she gives the dog back. They gave her 30 days for the first one, and they've extended it, Froggy. On these kind, they do a minimum 30 days until they see if they, I mean, deprogramming for extreme religion takes months and months and months. It is very hard. She was just way cuckoo-cuckoo on all of this. And I don't say that to be disrespectful. I hope nobody takes it that way, but I don't know any other way to put it. Let me pull up. Oh, on September 8th, Chad and Tammy signed to up her life insurance policy. Yeah, she did try to sell it at first, and they got wind of it and came back to her like, what are you trying to do with the dog? And so then they took it. Let's see. Because I have one that has, I should have marked my pages. This is where I'm usually a lot more prepared, but with this week, let's see. Because the one that I found earlier actually gives a, okay, here it is. September 23rd is when they suspect that JJ was murdered. And I think they're going by the phone pings and last seen of time frame and all of that. What I read earlier for JJ was buried alive. They duct taped his mouth, duct taped his hands and his feet, and wrapped him in plastic and buried him. They firmly believe that JJ was buried alive. That in and of itself is beyond cruel. To take a child, take his disability away. I'm not even talking about his autism. A child, and bury them in a hole in plastic with duct tape. The fear just being tied up like that is unimaginable. And then to be buried, that is a very panicking feeling, to be buried alive. I can't even imagine. And it makes me angry. I hope they never, ever see the light of day. And I always say now that I tend to not support the death penalty, but I'm going to tell you what, in this instance, I'm supporting the death penalty. I think it's too easy. I think being executed is too easy for them. Just too easy. So these two run off to Hawaii. They go to Hawaii and they go have this beautiful wedding, and they're in little white dresses and suits and being silly, and they've got Tylee's debit card. They've got their birth certificates. JJ was buried alive, Froggy, the baby. He was buried alive. They taped his mouth shut, tied his hands and his feet up with duct tape, wrapped him in plastic, and put him in a hole. That'll make you, turns my stomach. It's just not okay. Just not okay at all. Oh, there goes my eye itching. I had makeup on too long. So they're in Hawaii. They've got Tylee's debit card. Hey, you two. No, you quit being ugly. Her cell phone, their birth certificates, and JJ's tablet. I got an Amber Alert for a 3-year-old first, like 6 o'clock this morning. Too many of them come up missing. Yeah, Charlotte, I found that just like 2 hours ago, and I'm like, oh my God. I just why I hadn't heard that, I don't know. I might not have wanted to. A lot of this gets me to where I'm just kind of like, oh, you just don't want to know the rest of the details. But then my sick true crime brain wants to know the details, and then I regret it. So here they are in Hawaii, time of their life. Everybody just wants to know where the kids are. Where are the kids? I remember when I covered this at that time is when I kind of did my podcast and had been on a few other YouTube channels talking about this case. That was our question. Where are the kids? Where are the damn kids? Just tell us where the kids are. Are they in a bunker? Okay, you've hid them away because you're afraid they're coming into zombies. Okay, just where are they? And they wouldn't answer. Idaho News is following around, and he's got that microphone in her face, and he's like, people are praying for your kids. Well, that's nice. Did you hurt your kids? And she says nothing. I'm sorry. You asked me if I've hurt my kids. No, I haven't hurt my kids. Are you crazy? There was no response. Nothing. She's just with that little smirky smile that she does, and it just made me so angry that she wouldn't answer anything. I'm just like, that's nice. It's nice. People are more concerned with your kids than you are because they're dead. That's why you're not concerned. You've had your children killed. It's infuriating. It's infuriating. The silence is very telling, Froggy. Very telling. Like, I mean, I get it. We tell people all the time, don't talk until you have a lawyer, because things you say can be used against you. But there are certain times you need to be speaking. There are certain times that conversation needs to happen. And she wasn't talking. She was not talking. And she had a certain time frame to develop the children, produce the children, and she didn't. So they arrested her, extradited her back to Idaho, and they ended up lowering the bond. And I remember people being extremely angry because it was like, $5 million or whatever, and they lowered it to, I don't remember, like 1.9 million. It was still extremely high, but there were a lot of conditions. Like, she was going to have to wear an ankle bracelet. She was going to have to do this. There was a whole lot of conditions on there. And what I kept telling people, she's already taken off once. Bond agencies aren't going to take her. They weren't going to take a house. They wanted the full cash. They were requiring a lot. They didn't have that kind of money. And I remember there were some different Facebook groups that supported them before they found the kids. And they were like blaming Kay and Larry. They didn't care about JJ, and they didn't do this, and they didn't do that. And I'm like, they didn't have custody of the kid. She did. Big difference. So people were very angry over the bond being lowered. Didn't bother me because I didn't see any bond company signing up for this because she's taken off. She's a flight risk. They know she's a flight risk, so they're not going to just throw a bond out for her. They were requiring full cash. They couldn't put the house up. It had to be cash, and they wanted all of it. So, and what is it, like 20% on a bond or something like that? I can't remember. So she's still set in jail. Well, when the cops finally got the, Rena must have hurt her foot, the cell phone records and discovered the pings and got to looking, they got a search warrant. They went back to Chad's house and searched the property. They knew exactly where to go. They didn't even search inside. They went straight outside to the pet cemeteries. They had worked and had those pings figured out perfectly and found the kids. And when you have investigators that are working this hard on these cases, children cases are very hard for them because they're the ones that have to deal with finding the bodies. Some of the times, like with this case, they were really decomposed. So there wasn't as gruesome of a scene, if that makes sense. Still very gruesome in its own right, but there wasn't much left. It was very little remains. I think from what I'm understanding, JJ was pretty well preserved because of the plastic. Larry and Kay came down there or up there, because they're down here. They're in Lake Charles, which is 45 minutes from me. They went up to Rexburg, and it affected them badly. Larry could not get out of the bed. His vertigo was really bad. So Brandon, which is Lori's cousin, who his wife left him and their children to go be in this cult and marry some dude. And that's a whole nother weird story of him being shot at. And Raina, what's wrong? Why are you whining? Mama put some medicine in it. He shows up and he's like, let me go do this. You guys don't need to do this. And so he went and identified him, and it was JJ. And can you imagine? You know that he's probably gone, but you're still hoping that he's alive. And so you're not shocked when they find him, but then you are kind of shocked that it is actually, the whole time I know your brain's going, please let it just be a mistake. Let it just be a nightmare, and I'm going to wake up from this at some point. And that's not what happened. So now they have charged Lori and Chad with the murder of these children. Chad now is also being charged with the murder of his wife. They are seeking the death penalty. That is interesting. And every state is so different on their death penalty stuff. But, Lori is in this facility. And pull this up because this is interesting. So Lori's in this facility, and she had a hearing last month, I believe. And they did not feel that the medical papers were complete enough. So they wanted to do more, had the doctors do more. They needed a deeper count of what was going on, because she's not fit to stand trial. And that's because cult. I mean, she was in a cult. Let's just face it. So one of the clinicians, I guess, has developed a relationship with her. And do they have a soft spot for her? Maybe. Are they LDS? So they have a soft spot for her? Maybe. I don't know, because they're not really saying a whole lot. But they were watching the news about her stuff, and he told her, you really need to contact the church and see about getting one of the church lawyers for you, and get rid of your state appointed attorney and get one of their lawyers. I guess the LD church is that way. They tend to defend their own kind of thing. Well, the churches denounce them. They want nothing to do with them. They do not support their religion. They do not support their views. His podcast was Preparing a People, and they're very, very end of times kind of thing, very extreme. Like, she was sending family 30-day supplies of food to store for the end of times. So weird. So she calls the LDS attorneys, tries to get an attorney, and they're like, we can't take this, and we can't, we can't do this. Let me find exactly what I wanted to read. Well, this attorney for the LDS church contacts the prosecutor and says, look, she is trying to contact, we don't want anything to do with this. What do we do with this? And they contact her, one of her attorneys, that she's got multiple on her case, and let them know that she's seeking other counsel. And so now Chad's attorney is jumping in and trying to get things thrown out, and they're holding evidence, and they're tampering with counsel and all of this stuff. And now they're trying to come after, because they're trying to blame the state for this clinician at a state facility for convincing her to drop her attorneys. So this clinician kind of messed up, because they I mean, I get it. They develop bonds with them, and it gets pretty. I guess you get pretty attached. I mean, I don't know that I could. I don't know how I would do that. I don't know. Be different kind of. I mean, different kind of level of professionalism. So I don't know, but this clinician's in some trouble because they've jeopardized the case. So now we'll see where that goes. This just happened on the 5th, I believe the date was on this. Yeah, November 5th. So this just happened. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see where this goes. But I thought that the information that Alex Cox's ex-wife come out with was very interesting. And I'm going to definitely listen to the rest of that and see what else to play and maybe do another live and kind of discuss, because Tylee's interview was very telling too, and it's very long. So I kind of want to see what needs to be shown and what doesn't, what fits and what isn't. It's, you know, I think there could have been a lot of fighting going on. I remember when my parents fought all the time. It felt like World War III, even though they were just bickering back and forth. So a child's, which, I mean, there was a time when it was World War III, but a child's perspective can be different on what's going on because they're children. They don't have the fortitude that us as adults have, or some of us as adults have. So what are y'all's thoughts? It is very disturbing, Froggy, very disturbing. This is where I start coming out against organized religion, and I come from an organized religion organization. So I have my own experience there, and the whole don't watch Disney movies. I mean, y'all have never watched Harry Potter because I've just never got around to it because we weren't supposed to. No dancing. I'm a dancing fool. No drinking. Y'all know I like my wine. And so there, I mean, no secular music. You listen to only Christian music. Basically, the type of religion I came from was borderline with the United Pentecostal, the ones that wear no makeup, dresses, don't cut your hair. Pretty much the same lines, very extreme. And so I remember having a mental breakdown because I've shared with y'all, but dealing with my mental illness, and the pastor looking at me. I had sat in my living room floor. My husband sat there on the floor holding me to keep me from hurting myself as I had a raging fit. And we sat there the next morning in the pastor's office telling him what happened. And I'm crying. I'm losing it. I'm still just, I don't know what's wrong. I can't put into words what I'm going through. I don't understand why my mind's doing what it's doing. And my husband's very concerned with me. Really, Ozzy? And the pastor looks at me and says, "This behavior is not fair to your husband. You need to get over it." Hi, Southern lady. Yeah, that is what he said to me, which nearly drew me over the edge. We were at one point, we had a teacher, did a women's Bible study, and she literally told us that sex was a sin. That if you were having sex, it should be only to have children. That a mouth was created for eating and praising God only. I was 24 years old. 24? Yeah, 24 years old. Totally freaked out. You know, in your mid-20s, you're very sexual. I loved my husband. We've always had a good marriage. I mean, even through the troubling years, but that was because of mental illness. And now I'm being told that my life is a sin. So these extreme religions really, 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 really control people in their lives and affect them mentally and emotionally. And now you've got this couple who are saying that people that are off on their own little thing are zombies. because she literally told Melanie Gibb that JJ was a zombie and Alex took him off to take care of him. Well, now we know what he did with him. So extreme religion is just, it's dangerous. There has to be a happy balance. And if you don't have that happy balance of reality and extreme religion, then you've got cuckoos. And I mean, I can remember my kids struggling. I don't know, why can't we watch Harry Potter like everybody else? I'm like, well, just because you can't. And they're like, but why? And I'm like, I don't know. They tell us you can't. I mean, I couldn't shop at Target. Y'all, I couldn't shop at Target because they supported the LGBT community. They were encouraging us to stop using products like Folgers and Tide and what was one of the other ones? Let's say Crest. I don't know. The list, I finally was like, oh, can we just make our own stuff? Because we can't have anything. I mean, it was crazy. And I am a vampire fan. I love vampire movies. I couldn't watch vampire movies. Couldn't read horror books. I couldn't. True crime stuff would have been a big no-no. And there's a few of them that I'm still friends with. And they're like, oh, we're going to follow your channel. I'm like, warning. Talk about things you're not going to like. And you know there's things going to be coming out of my mouth. Because I've always been very vocal. And the new pastors at the church, when this is a funny story. We got rid of that pastor, got new pastors, and I still love them. They're very dear people. I adore them. They just know I'm just not going to be an organized religion girl. It just ain't happening. But I sat in his office when we finally found out about the mental illness side in our family and what was going on. I called and said, I need to talk with y'all. I need to talk. And I sit in the office and I scoot up he says, well, Brandy, tell me what's going on. So I scoot up on the edge of the couch and I said, all I'm going to say is if you tell me to just get over it, you and this church can go to hell. And Pastor Kevin is this very sweet, mild, lovable man. And I've never heard him raise it. Well, yeah, I had heard him raise his voice once, years later. And he just kind of went, oh. And he said, Brandy, I can promise you, I am never going to tell you to just get over it. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say we can't get over it, but I'm not going to tell you just get over it. I'm going to help you figure out how to get over it. But I can't do any of that if you don't tell me what it is. So I told him what it was. And he was like, I mean, his face dropped. And he said, we were told y'all had been put through the ringer with him. And there were a lot of things said. And the elders of that church and the other leaders in the community were surprised we stayed because of what the past pastor had done. And that we had not just completely walked away. It was completely psychotic. He's actually a salesman. He has a YouTube channel now where he does scripture, and it creeps me out. Totally creeps me out. But they had not been told what we were told, so they were shocked. So it took a lot. Yeah, I haven't seen those yet, Southern Lady. Hi, Brazy. I haven't seen those yet. I may have to look them up. I don't know. So, Lady, I've got friends that dress drag, and so it cracks me up. I love drag. I love my drag queen friends. They are the most fun that I can go have without getting in trouble. And so I don't know. I've got one that I'm like, can you come dress drag with me when we go to the wine bar? Because it just freaks people out. But I like the shock factor. So I love a shock factor. But I have a hard time with organized religion, and that's why they dictated too much of people's lives. And so I think with Lori Vallow, I think that she has been really, really, really traumatized in that. And I'm curious to see what comes out about what happened in her family with that other little bit of information. And drag is different. I love drag. I love it. But I'm about be who you are, be who you want to be. If my son wanted to walk around in pink tutus, I'd let him. I'd probably laugh at him, but I'd let him. I don't know. I guess because I know so many that have struggled, and so it doesn't. Doesn't bother me as bad. I'm just go with the flow. And do you, boo. That's how I look at it. I have that 3 F's, y'all. Y'all have heard me say it. If you're not feeding, financing, and effing me, you ain't got no say in my life, and I ain't got no say in yours. So, but I do wish that people would quit pushing everything on everybody. Let people be them. Let people figure things out and just be them. Charlotte had to come and check out the channel. I'm into true crime, so I thought I'd come and subscribe since you recommended. Thank you, Breezy. I truly appreciate it. I'm a baby channel. I'm getting there. I've been on other channels, and so I've left my previous team and now growing my own brand and doing my thing. I can be a little chaotic, and I'm a mouth, and I am. Froggy will tell y'all I am spunky as all get out, and so you never know what you're going to get. Today has been one of those days. It's been a week. I tore the skin right here on the corner of my eye. I tore that. Yeah, girls, I can feel it. I'm going to go clean it. I wasn't even supposed to be wearing makeup yet, but I can't do camera with no makeup. It's just not happening. And I did that, so I couldn't read, and I was hurting all weekend and Monday. Tuesday, I went to the doctor. Was it Tuesday I went to the doctor? Yeah. Yeah. Tuesday, I went to the doctor. Had him look at it because I was worried. And seen what was going on. Got my antibiotics for it and everything. And then no internet yesterday. So, and I have a zoo, Angela says. I have 7 dogs, 4 cats, and a snake. So, you know. I have a zoo. And I would be happy living in a zoo, guys. No kidding. You could put me in a zoo, and I really should have been the line of work I went into, zoo curator, because I truly love animals. Not to mention my squirrels and my birds out front, because I feed the neighborhood wildlife. I've had upwards of like 8 or 9 squirrels on my porch at one time. No, don't take them to my house no more. Something like, I am not kidding. My husband used to think that I went and picked up animals, and they literally would find me. We'd be sitting there, and dogs would come up, a cat would come up, and he's like, how do we get all these? And I'm like, babe, they just show up. He's like, no, they don't. You're picking them up somewhere. Until he started seeing it, he's like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, you forget. My brothers call me Ellie Mae, y'all. No joke. All of my life, I have had every animal there is. I had a pet skunk. I had a possum. I had a coon. We had a deer. I've had squirrels. If I could get away with having a tiger, I would have one. Probably a snow leopard, because they tend to be my favorite. But yeah, it's. I'm truly in my happy place with my animals. I really am. I prefer them over people. And so, and I've done rescue, and so my husband is like, no more rescue, because they never go anywhere. 2 of my cats were bottle babies. Baby Kitty was like 3-4 days old, 3 to 5 days old when I got her. She never went anywhere. And I had told her if she survived, she was staying, because it was a battle. So yeah, I have a zoo. And it's usually, they're being good, guys. Usually I have a cat up here. I don't know where Jagger's at. Jagger is Angela's spirit animal. Jagger. He'll be here in a second. My pug is being bad. He just marked his territory. Now I gotta go clean that up. He got in trouble the other day. Him and Cooper the dachshund got into a fight. So he got in trouble because he was very ugly. So he's been kind of pouty. He's curled up with Raina right now. But we've had a lot of rain, and they don't like to go out when it's raining. And then I've been gone all day, or been busy all day. So we haven't been out as much. So yeah. He was busy reading emails outside a while ago instead of getting his business done. So he just peed on a box. So now I got to clean that up. That's what I'm doing tonight, is cleaning carpets, guys. Hence the big cup of coffee. Not Ozzy, he's a peep. Shh. He is so bad, Froggy. It's not even funny. Bad. He's a rescue. He's a rescue. Molly and Gizmo are rescues. All the cats are rescues. All but Jagger. Jagger, I went and got. Oh, it was bad this morning. It hit early this morning. It was bad. Jagger, funny story on Jagger. I'd been wanting a bobtail cat, and I'd had one. It ended up being a nightmare. wanting one. My husband and we were going back and forth. I really want a bobcat. You don't need one, but I want one. You don't need one. And so finally he's like, fine, whatever. Do what you want. So that's okay. Go get your cat. He didn't take it that way. I did. So I go get this cat. And when I pull up, I see the work truck and I'm like, oh crap. I bet they know my husband because it's one of the companies he worked for. And we're in an area in the industry. He's very well known. And he's got an amazing reputation and they know him and evidently know me. And so I get this cat and I talk to this guy, and I'm talking to his wife and I leave. I'm on my way home and I've got this cute little kitten who sits in the window checking it out. And he still does. I want to take him in the car. And my husband calls me, says, what you doing? Driving home. And he's like, oh, what you been out doing? Just running errands. I'm just sitting thinking, how am I telling him I went and got this cat? Because I didn't tell him exactly I was going. He's like, so I hear you went and got a cat. And I'm like, how the hell did you know I went and got the cat? And he's like, Vince called me. I was like, oh, I knew you knew that dude. Like, I can't even get home. Ratted me out. So, yeah, that was ratted me out before I could get home. What right now? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Can you come on the other side? Come on this side. Come over here. Come over here. Come here, Raina. Raina wants to say hi. Come on. That's my baby girl. That's my big baby. You go outside. Oh, they must go on that side. Well, you got to get out. You got to get out. And everything. Many. My life is crazy. So, she slimed my face like crazy. She's a mama's girl. She is, thank you. She is my girl. She's my diva, and Jovi is my goober. My male shepherd is my goober. He is the goofiest little asshole there is. He's 3 and still acts like a puppy. But so there's enough of my crazy life, guys. Thanks for joining me. But I'm definitely going to do another live on Vallow because there is some information that I found that I definitely want to I may do a video and just put it together and upload it. See what I can come up with. Next week, TCA, True Crime Analyst, will be on. We're going to be talking about a cold case that's very near and dear to her. We're doing that Wednesday. The following week, I am doing the Frazee case. And then I've got Kathy Jones, which Kathy Jones is a cold case that's like 50 years old. It's very old, but it's one of those that breaks my heart. So are you talking about the boy that TCA talks about? That one. Can't remember what his name is right off the top of my head. In December, I've got some really cool updates for the Hopper Road case. And then I've got 2 serial killers we're going to discuss. Starting in January, yes, Miss Southern Lady, that's the one. In January, I'm going to do another deep dive on Parkland. They will start jury selection January 4th for the penalty phase for Nicholas Cruz. And I want to kind of deep dive that. I'm hoping to get an interview with Kirk Narmy again to discuss the process of that and what is going to happen. And then I'm going to start doing, yes, ma'am, Piketon County is the Hopper Road one. Got some updates, and it's not good. Yeah, Angie will be back with me to discuss what she's got from BCI and Pike County. It's not good. Very disappointed. Very disappointed. So, but we're going to start doing, in January, we'll start doing some wrongful conviction cases. I'm going to dig into them. And then we're going to start doing a once-a-month serial killer. I think what I want to do is do by zodiac sign. I think that'll be fun. We'll see. I don't know. There's several of them I want to talk about. I know we're going to do Ed Kemper and Anthony Sowell in December. And then we'll kind of figure out which ones. Serial killers. I'm so fascinated by them. They are insane. So, anyways, that's kind of how the next few months are going. I figured I would do Frazee for Thanksgiving because that happened at Thanksgiving, and it kind of just works. It's a very interesting case. And get that together. And then I hope everybody has an amazing holiday. My husband and I started a tradition. We started going out on Thanksgiving because our kids started developing lives out around us. And so it was like, why am I cooking for all these people? It's just us. Breezy, I am. I'm going to do some more on the Reed case, and I'm going to do Darley's. And I did just do the Boys in Houston, and I'm still covering that one as things unfold, the Kendrick Lee case. And a friend of mine that has a channel, once she's in Houston and I'm here, she wants to talk about the Astroworld case and what's going on there. And so I need to look into some more cases for us. I am going to talk Andrea Yates as well. That's another one that very, very important to talk about mental health wise. So, but we started going out to eat and going to a movie on Thanksgiving instead of making this big deal for just us. And so this is the first year in 8 years that we've had that we're separate on Thanksgiving. He's in Indiana and I'm here, and they don't have enough time off for him to really come on home. And of course I'm moving at the end of December. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Guess I'll go out to eat into a movie by myself, and him and I'll do like we've done before. And we went to a date and we're on the phone as the movie was starting. Like, okay, here it goes. Bye. I love you. And so find a way to make it fun. I mean, we've been married 30 years, so we try to do what we can. Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for joining me and giving me your time tonight. Have a good one. Be safe. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your weekend. And I will definitely let everybody know when I get to do the second part of this with more of the videos. So, but alrighty, guys, y'all have a good one. And thank y'all so much for joining. Make sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe and share with everybody. I appreciate it. All right. Thank y'all so much. Have a good night.